Sailing around the world might sound like a dream vacation, but not if you're crewing aboard the Picton Castle. Batten down the hatches and get ready for the adventure of a lifetime. Tall Ship Odyssey.
It looks like cramming 56 people together on a ship is not going to work out very well. We're maneuvering 27 sails with, 10 people.
You either learn it or you don't. You stay or you don't. It fits or it doesn't.
Because you're doing this and the wind's blowing hell at you. You're hanging on for dear life at times.
You're walking on thin pieces of line. While you walk up, you're not secure. This is insane.
There's kind of a healthy fear of, obviously, you're up this high, so you want to do dumb shit.
Today we want to accomplish a basic abandoned ship drill, but we're going to start with personal flotation devices. With a wife and child on board, it's true that the motivations have changed.
I met and fell in love with my captain.
We take this seriously. All the equipment we have, how to use it correctly.
It really wasn't in the brochure.
PFDs, everyone grab one. These are pretty obvious how they work. Dawson, grab one. Your first job is to be a good parent. You just can't be bothered by everything. And when you jump in the water, listen up. Look this way. Stifle the kid. It is hard, though, at times, but they're willing sacrifices. All right, let's check each other's cross-check.
I've known of so many people that have taken their children and sailed with them, and could my son be raised at sea? Absolutely. I have no problems with that.
Work ethics is a very, very big thing.
You have to be able to take orders.
Maturity is the thing that they will learn here when they come here.
Everybody opens up by the end of it. You can't help it because you can't get away from anybody. You can't get out of it, just get into it.
We don't like sarcastic. Sarcastic, we cut that out because it gets mixed up on the ship.
I'm so sarcastic all the time that my voice inflection doesn't change very much.
I can be bossy.
I like to have things my way.
My job is not to be their buddy. My job is to be their captain. The consequences of failure are high, and that's why you have to pay close attention.
If anything was to happen, if we abandoned ship, that would be the worst thing for me.
Being in the water, down there, and watching your ship sail away is probably the scariest.
You've got these islands that are 1,000 miles apart. Well, they don't need a big cargo ship, they just need a little one that shows up frequently. So we'll be able to sail our little South Pacific trading barque. It's great to unload supplies there. They're so pleased to have that stuff. It's hard for them to get supplies.
Try to give back as much as we can and organize events and medical clinics. We deliver school books to a lot of these places.
Ports that we sail to, the people that we meet, the lives that I believe we impact. It's very rewarding.
Bye-bye, ship! I love sundown, I love sunrise at sea. I love when there's stars like everywhere.
But I love the sea life. The sea life is just part of me now, and I can't live in land for too long right now.
Why am I doing this? What am I doing with my life? Why am I here?
I think for a lot of us, it's some sort of an obsession.
And you have to be a little bit crazy to do something like this, I think.
We don't have to do this. We weren't drafted. We weren't subject to a press gang.
It's very hard for somebody on land to get the lifestyle, and that's one of the troubles when you sign off a ship. It's often hard to go home because nobody's really exactly understanding what you did.
You are a citizen of the ship, not a passenger.
Letting go of land rules and land, things that you've always taken for granted on land. Now they don't really, it's a different thing here.
know, I think a lot of people don't really realize what they're capable of.
If somebody's going out to stow the head sails in heavy seas, I'm going to be right there. I'm not going to let somebody else go out there by themselves, or I'll be first out there. I'll be first aloft.
It's not about you or me or him or her. It's about the ship. We take care of the ship, and she takes care of us.
I have a saying on board is that the deckhand has got to see to the rail, the bosun has to see to the top of the mast, the mate has to see to the horizon, and the captain's job is to see 1,000 miles ahead.
Sailing around the world might sound like a dream vacation, but not if you're crewing aboard the Picton Castle. Batten down the hatches and get ready for the adventure of a lifetime. Tall Ship Odyssey. Captain Dan Moreland is the only man alive that circumnavigated the planet 7 times as the master of a tall ship. He's battled hurricanes, outsmarted pirates, and trained hundreds of seafarers, but he's never had to deal with a crew member like this before.
You call that real life shit 9 to 5 where you guys looking at each other and pushing paper around? You call that real life? You guys are out of your mind. This is real life.
I still say a bad day at sea is better than a great day on land.
It's great having Tammy with me. This way of life has not been imposed upon her, and we got married because we had this way of life already.
Dawson, my 2-year-old boy, he's been ashore, I think 4 months out of his 2 years. This is the only world he knows.
I've always wanted to have a unique life, and I want to have a unique life for my son as well.
He's having fun.
I've known of so many people that have taken their children and traveled with them and sailed with them, and their kids are so much better for it.
We try not to hover, but we never let them out of our sight because it is a ship.
No! Don't sit on the cat!
I'm older, I'm in my 40s. It's not an easy thing to just completely change your life.
This is my house, my home, we anchor. It's like a trailer. It's like a Winnebago for me, you know. It is hard, though, at times, and it is challenging. With a wife and child on board, it's true that the motivations have changed. It's 24 hours a day, there's no weekends off.
We've been 2 years out right now, and that's a lot.
But we can't complain about this.
I was a little worried before with the noise factor, but he's not bad. He's a pretty good little shipmate. It's the ball having Dawson on board, and I think might be one of the best places for a little kid.
Whoa! This way of life, you just take what comes. You have to be willing to be flexible. You have to be willing to say, it's all part of the adventure, because it truly is.
We try to introduce him to life, and it's going pretty good. But he's only 2, you know, he could forget it all, so we want to keep that happening.
Probably more my education than his. Because he's sort of the natural component, and I'm the one trying to figure it out. He's not trying to figure it out, he's just doing it. The ship, the sea, and the islands, the place we visit, it's all one. Without the ship, there's none of this. You know, there's all sorts of flavors and shapes and nationalities and accents, and it's all normal to him, but it's not normal for most people. As he gets older, he's going to need kids his own age. You know, in another year or two, we're going to have to think about that some more.
Life on board a ship can be all happy and cheerful and wonderful for the first few weeks, but eventually who you are really comes to the surface.
Folks will come up to me in a tall ship event and say, gosh, what did you do before this? I did this before this. It's not for everybody. I mean, it's rubbish if you don't like it.
Sailing around the world might sound like a dream vacation, but not if you're crewing aboard the Picton Castle. Batten down the hatches and get ready for the adventure of a lifetime. Tall Ship Odyssey.
It's kind of heavy, so on the count of 3, we bust, which means we pull up. Ready, and 1, 2, bust.
And not all ships are good at teaching how to be like us. Learning to become like us is a part of what we do. What we do is sail around and teach people cool things, but you have to understand how the ship runs, how to make the ship run better. You have to learn to love it.
I've been sitting at a desk job my whole life, and I wanted to try something completely different and new.
The main thing that I've been doing, and I really want to make sure I keep trying, is going up the shrouds, going on to the main yard, holding on for dear life, you know, like as long as I keep challenging myself by going up there, then I think I'll get more used to it, more comfortable being up there.
I was really nervous beforehand. I went up and over and survived. Yeah, survived.
We get these 19, 20-year-old kids that they've been bubble wrapped their whole life, and the experience that happens over a long voyage, they forget that they're Canadian or German. They become a member of a different race, and the race is seafarers.
It's a transition. You go from thinking, oh, we're going to these cool places, it's going to be fun, we're going to learn this thing, I'm going to get fit, I'm going to quit smoking, to thinking, oh my God, this is so hard.
I've had, people say, oh, you've been on a cruise ship. No, this is not a cruise ship. We don't have a jacuzzi, we don't have a pool, we don't play bingo or shuffleboard. You work really hard.
It's not a vacation, but it's not healthy. We get some young guys sometimes that come on and they're lazy, and we kind of take them on as special projects. We're going to beat that lazy, we're going to get that laziness out of them. Stubborn people generally don't do so well. It's not about them, it's about the whole ship.
I'm an emergency room doctor, and I just arrived yesterday. This is a pretty abrupt change in my life. This is a box of our kind of emergency airway equipment in case someone, for some reason, stops breathing. Also in here, somewhere if I can find it, is someone brought what's called a craniotomy kit to do basically put a valve in someone's brain. Hopefully we will not have to use that. Our next leg is going to be a month at sea. And there will not be evacuation that will be readily available. So I'll pretty much be it if there's a major problem.
The ship changes you, and all of a sudden you're just a small cog in a very large operation. And the reality is everybody's a small cog. It's humbling.
This is the main salon. This is where the majority of crew live. We have meals down here in rough weather. If it's raining, people don't have much personal space. You have your bunk and then some space in here for personal stuff, but that's it.
There is virtually no privacy, except in the confines of your bunk. And you can be all happy and cheerful and wonderful for the first few weeks, but eventually you're gonna have a crappy day, and who you are really comes to the surface.
The ship has a way of showing everyone's weakness before they realize it. So coming on here and expecting that you're going to learn, traditional seamanship, or you're going to travel around the world, those will be your first thoughts, and what you'll actually come out with is something you weren't entirely expecting.
I could see myself keep sailing. I don't know right now. I'm only 21, so I've been out of school for a couple of years now, and I'm trying this life out.
Your shipmates are your best friends. You have to get along with them, and you do, and you learn to get along with them like you do with family. You might hate them, but you love them anyway.
All right, mainsail haul. You learn to power through what you think your limits are, and then continue on even further from that.
How would I pitch you on joining a ship? I wouldn't. I'd talk you out of it. If I can't talk you out of coming, then you better come.
It's a wonderful way to concentrate your life. You work hard, you sweat hard, and then you eat well and you sleep well, and you kind of just, the fundamentals of life come back because when you're out at sea. Your true self is shown here. You're never the same when you go back home.
Sailing around the world might sound like a dream vacation, but not if you're crewing aboard the Picton Castle. Batten down the hatches and get ready for the adventure of a lifetime. Tall Ship Odyssey.
This ship in the age of sail would have been a common trader, carrying goods from here to there. This is the same size of ship that did most of the trading up until the early 1800s. And there were about 3 left in the world when I found her, so now there's just this one. This is designed for ocean passages. It would be called a Class A tall ship by the modern nomenclature. All that means she's a big square rig. What distinguishes a square rig ship over other rigs is that there's an enormous amount of control. None of these sails are actually that big, so it's a very manageable rig. This is all handled by people. There's no winches, there's no hydraulics, and there's no need for them either, which makes this a good training ship. You guys call it Russell and Axel. You're doing it all.
Ready, halyard. Ready, halyard. Cast near, hold the halyard.
There's 2 propulsion units on board. The big one, of course, is the sailing rig. The crew and the trainees are all the engineers, so they have to learn how to do that. Very sharp port tack.
What we're doing is bracing the yards, and what this is for is when we're actually under sail, we want to change which side of the ship the wind's coming across. Turning the sails from side to side lets us catch the wind from one side or another.
We have 2 different systems. The lower 3 sails, the clew goes to the yard arm. The upper sails, it does that. What looks like 5 different sails, you can see it, understand it as one sail. These guys can manage them while we sail. You've got every corner is very controlled, and it's actually very, very safe. Our average speed under sail is probably between 100 and 120 miles a day, which isn't that fast, but it's much faster than your house moves. She also has a diesel engine. It's a great engine. It's slow turning, it lasts forever, and it's also a great engine room for teaching engineering because it's not modern component systems where you check when it doesn't work, you throw it out and get a new one. No, you fix it, you adjust it, you scrape it and bang it. So it's great for engineers.
The ship is really the biggest teacher of all. We put the ship first, we put our shipmates second, and we put ourselves third. So it's really a good lesson in being humble and realizing that the sea is very powerful and that this is an enormous machine that needs constant attention, you know.
I think it does open itself up to creativity and self-sufficiency. Certainly self-sufficiency, because we can make it all ourselves, we can make the yards ourselves, we can make the sails ourselves. It used to be sailing ships a century ago, always had a sailmaker, always made their own sails. Even 40 years ago, there were probably 3 or 4 ships still making their sails. Now we're it. All right, that's enough.
All right, 22 hanks. This is a new inner jib that's at the stage where we're ready to put grommets on.
Let's measure it and divide by 22. And then the grommets all go on this side.
I guess it could be considered a little more of the tedious work because it's very repetitive.
Yeah. That's your winch.
It takes a while. They're time consuming. And of course, there's other grommets on the sail too, and then we move on to the next one.
It can be hard on the hands, but nothing that a little Aleve can't solve.
The idea behind this was to reestablish something that I felt and believed and thought was extremely valuable. The recapturing of a tradition and the experience that happens over a long voyage as a training exercise for mariners. You can't ask for better.
A couple weeks out at sea and trade winds and sails have been set. The crew is in total harmony, total sync, and everybody's working together. It's not about you or me or him or her, it's about the ship. We take care of the ship and she takes care of us.
Sailing around the world might sound like a dream vacation, but not if you're crewing aboard the Picton Castle. Batten down the hatches and get ready for the adventure of a lifetime. Tall Ship Odyssey.
The ocean's a highway. It's a connected to so many people we know in the different islands. We get to share this with the crew and trainees in a really rich, deep way, and it's all together a great way of life.
The most important thing is to look really cool when you get to board and go in the water, like you know what you're doing, and then when you're out there, just make sure no one sees you. My day is really good so far, so hopefully it's going to continue like that. This is a lot of fun, so you don't really feel how exhausting it is until afterwards, but that's the same with the ship. When you're on watch, you just do what you got to do. We're having fun. Hopefully it's going to be the same the next places we go. It's definitely one of the perks of being on Picton Castle because it sails, you know, the most exotic places in the world.
Most people don't become tall ship sailors forever. Most people take this, learn what they can, some give a little bit back, and then they go on with their life. It just so happens that I've decided to keep at this thing for a little while. Also, it feels like the wind's blowing me in this direction.
We encourage people to explore more than search. Because sometimes the thing they're searching for is what they left behind. Well, it's not here if you left it behind.
Going to the beach to surf, and to get tattoos. Yeah. Turtle is both means long life, and it's also significant for sailors for crossing the equator. I like how it moves with the lines of the body, the arm. I love the placement of the turtle.
So I climbed Mount Batur, which is the volcano. Sunrise on Batur Mountain. There was a point where you could see the sun and the moon at the same time. It was awesome.
You get to sail the world, be places nobody ever goes. It's pretty cool.
People ask me what my favorite island is. I said, well, we only go to my favorite islands. We're not coming in as just voyeurs and you know, pleasure boaters. They don't jet in and gawk and take pictures. They're part of the lives in a fairly deep way.
The ports that we sail to, the people that we meet, the lives that I believe we impact, it's very rewarding.
We go to the schools, we ask them if they need books, we give them books. We ask them if they need medical clinics. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
It's amazing. Sometimes when I call back home and I tell my family, like I did in Rarotonga, where's Rarotonga? I say, somewhere in the South Pacific. I say, go look it up.
Without fail, the voyage always goes way deeper than they ever expected. It goes places you didn't really think about before, you know, with yourself and with people, and I think that's what is the real magic behind it.